Hello, friends. So it's 9:30 p.m. India time and 9 a.m. PST. So before I introduce our special guest today, let me see who are in. So Holly, people are coming in. So let's give them basically 2-3 minutes to look in.
Great.
Good to have you here. How are you doing today?
I am superb. It's a beautiful day here in sunny California in the crazy US.
So we can't say that.
I'm American right now.
Trump is all over the news. We can't say that. We
Yeah.
can't say that.
Well, I'm good, and I'm happy to be wherever I am on the planet, and delighted that we get to have this conversation. I'm so excited about some of the things we're
Same
going to talk about.
here. I am excited since morning. So it's 9:30 p.m. India time, and I was waiting for this session to happen for last, I think, 12 hours. So when it's gonna start?
Yay! Well, I get up really early so I can
Yeah.
be alive and prepared.
So okay, hi guys. Say hi to Holly and hi to me. Write your name and say hi to Holly and hi to me. I can see people coming in. Hi
Yeah.
Onkar. Hi Akash. Hi Sujit. Cool. So Holly, so here in India, so we are pretty laid back people, no? So we wanna like we are never on time. So India's standard time is always late.
Well, I must be part Indian because I'm usually about 5 minutes late myself. So
Oh yeah.
I'm
Then
cool.
we are in sync. Then that's okay. Hi Mirza. Hi Coach Vivek. People are coming in. People are coming in. So we'll wait for another 1 minute, Holly, and then we can start.
It's,
Cool.
it's it's kind of like a big party. Everybody shows up when they show up.
It's a big party. It's a big party. And trust me, I mean, it's really fun talking to people. And I've been doing this for a while now, and it's really great. And I'm super excited always.
Yes, you have that energy that's just addictive. You have an addictive energy. It's so
Thank
fun.
you so much. Thank you so much. Hi, Sangeeta. Hi, Khalid.
I would guess your
Oh,
customers love working with you.
oh, thank you so much. That was great. Okay, so we'll wait for another 1 minute, Ali, and then we can start. So, guys, give us a good high, give us good power, so that we can give you a lot of positive content for you to, I mean, seek in. There's so much happening today. Holly is loaded with content. This 1 hour is not enough.
Yeah, I could talk for days about this
I
stuff. So
know.
I just wrote a 400-page book, so I've got a little bit to
No.
share here.
And so I remember our last conversation where we were scheduled for 30 minutes and it got over by 85.
And then we had to force ourselves to go.
Yeah.
No.
Cool. Okay. So people are in. I think we should start. So good evening, friends. This is Shashank Jain, your co-host and your co-founder for Woodofa Interiors. And welcome to my show, Conversation with Shashank. And today I have a very special guest across the boundaries, across the oceans. And please welcome the great Holly Woods.
Oh my goodness. I'm delighted to be here. That was a little over the top, but thank you, Shashank. I'm delighted to be here with
Thank
you.
you for coming in, Holly. It is great, moment for all of us to have you here. So, guys, whosoever is open, let me introduce Holly to you. Holly is based out of San Francisco Bay Area, USA, which we often call America, and brings 30 years of consulting and coaching experience. She earned her Ph.D. in human and organization development. It's a big word. She is a certified as an integral master coach, purpose guide, and stages of conscious and development practitioner. I mean, still very heavy words for me. Great. Great. So topic for today is how can we design our interior spaces from our inner self, from our consciousness. Welcome, Holly, and it's all yours. Now, please introduce yourself and help our guest.
I don't think that was our agreement, but I can talk nonstop for an hour if you'd want me to. No, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, Shashank. I have to say that you've opened the door for me to a new arena that I hadn't really thought about, and designing our environment, our physical environment, to align with what's inside. And I'm excited to say, after reflecting on this, I've been looking around like, well, so what have I done that actually does promote that? Because I do, my environment has always been very important to me. But I've never really thought about it. I just create it, and when it feels right, then good, we're done, or at least for some while. So I'm delighted to explore this topic with you. It's really
Thank you
fascinating.
so much for coming in and accepting my invite at the first go.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Cool, cool. So, guys, I've already told about Holly, and I think we should start with the questions right away, Holly. And would you like to introduce yourself for a minute or so that our guests know from you what you do and how they can hear more about you?
Sure. So, as Shashank said, I've been a coach and consultant for a long time, 30 plus years, no specifics. And, I primarily work now with entrepreneurs, innovators, founders, executives, professionals who know that there's something that they want to offer the world that's alive in them, and they can't necessarily get it out, or maybe they've gotten it out but they haven't refined it enough in a way that they have clarity about what that thing is. And generally I call that purpose, because my belief, my knowing is that we come back in each lifetime to have an expression of our purpose that will serve the world. So purpose is not just something that makes us feel fulfilled and have meaning and an abundant life, but it actually contributes to the world in some great way to have impact. So I work with people to get them aligned with their purpose, and then build products and services that are aligned with that, and then create businesses or new careers that are a result of that. And I love my work. I do a lot of one-on-one, and I'm actually building a course, an online course, hopefully to launch this fall. And just wrote a book called The Golden Thread, which we'll talk a little bit about, which is the synthesis of my life's work. Like, oh my gosh, it happened. I was called to write the book, and I did, and launched it in the middle of a pandemic. So anyway, nutshell.
Congratulations for the book, and I saw it's a bestseller already. And I will.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I will be buying it. I'm in ASAP. I could not buy it yesterday. I was trying to, but I will surely buy it today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, guys, whosoever has got the information, Holly will share the book link also in the end, and you can buy it directly. And I'm sure she has that loaded 30 years of experience into this. How many pages, Holly? You told me 300?
404 pages. But it's not, it has a lot of information, but I filled it with case studies and stories. So people tell me, oh my gosh, I learned so much, but it was so easy to read. I mean, and people are telling me both, I can't put it down, but I have to put it down because I have to digest. That was so profound. Like, the stories people are telling me, like, could I ever feel so blessed that I wrote something this useful? That was all I really wanted to do. So.
Wonderful. I mean, that's a great advice, and I think that's a great value, basically, because I've also written a book, Holly, and to be honest, when I was writing it, I was so much excited, and I was like putting everything together. So it was like my life journey coming together into that book.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we all have many stories to share that are powerful and important, and it takes a certain amount of courage to recognize that I have a role and a responsibility to be in the world as my fullest self, which is part of what purpose is, right? Is when we realize, no, actually, I'm a very unique I'm the one of a kind, the only one here that's here to do what I do. And if I don't speak up and stand up and be myself, my truest self, not living up to the expectations of our society and our cultures, then the world is missing what I have to bring. So
Yes,
I'm so,
absolutely.
delighted that you have begun living, been living into your greatest contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much. So today interview is more about you. I'm not gonna hijack it with mine for sure. I will not let you do that as well. Okay. So guys, the agenda is again same. So we'll put up questions first to Holly. She'll be answering, and then you can have your own question and answers. You can put those questions in the comment box, and I will be happy to take it on and off. And I will take a end session maybe in last 15 minutes. We'll take up all the questions. So feel free to write anything and everything you want to, and we'll definitely take it up. Thank you so much. Cool. So my first question is Holly to you. Are you ready?
Mhm.
Cool. So what is purpose, and how do we set the right roadmap for us?
So, as I described just a bit ago, in my conception, and I've studied with and about most of the definitions of purpose in the world. That was part of the reason I wrote the book, is there are so many misconceptions about purpose and so many different definitions. And as you know, purpose-driven is a word that's used broadly now and means nothing because everybody's using it to mean something different. So my conception of purpose, having done this synthesis and study as a scientist, is the essence of us. It's why our soul brought us back to this lifetime, and it's it's both the delivery of who we are in the world, and it's also the trajectory over a lifetime. So purpose is that which draws us forward developmentally, evolutionarily, in a lifetime in order to contribute our greatest gifts and our greatest self. So it's both a being and a doing. A lot of spiritual people talk about, I'm just going to be myself. And it's like, well, great. And, we didn't come to these human lives just to be. We could have done that in some other dimension. So each of us really does have an important contribution to make in this world at this time. And if more of us were more on purpose, the world would not be, what it is right now, which is missing many of us living on purpose. So how do we create that roadmap? And part of why I wrote this book was to help all of us understand that we've been expressing our own unique version of purpose since we were born, since we came out of the womb, that we have these innate curiosities and passions and, obsessions almost. Yes. Sometimes for many of us as children, we have obsessions, like we're pulled to explore and to dive into. And sometimes the things that our parents say, oh my God, would you please let that go, or stop talking about it, or, go play with something else. And, our little minds and hearts and souls say, no, this is the thing that I want to explore because this is what's important to me. But it's often the thing that most annoys our families because we're so driven to explore that. So purpose, the living on purpose as a child often looks like the thing that we get in trouble for. I mean, not always, but sometimes. So finding the roadmap that lives within inside us is about listening deeply, being quiet enough, still enough, and creating an awareness of who you are in the world innately without those expectations and cultural contexts. That is the truest you. So my work in the world really is about, in a nutshell, I help people become more of who they are and less of who they are not. And in that place, purpose just emerges. It like magic, it just shows up.
And as you really said, because you're there, you guiding those paths for people, and automatically those roadmaps are being created for themselves. People who tend to start that journey, I believe, they will start their own roadmap.
So the roadmap that I have on my website, the Purpose to Impact Roadmap, is, let me just be really clear, I think we're talking about two different things. And the roadmap that I have created is the methods I use that I've tested over, a couple of decades. And when I do these things with people, generally someone can understand and claim and elicit and live into and, develop their life around purpose. So it's like this proven model I use, and I call that a roadmap. The roadmap I think that you're referring to is the golden thread almost.
Yeah.
And so as we as adults can't go back and live our childhood, but if we reimagine our childhood, and this is what I actually work with people to do this, is to pull out the stories that were a part of the childhood. So what were you passionate about? What were you curious about? What drove you? What did you talk incessantly about? What did you spend time with friends doing? What books did you read when you got to elementary or middle school, whatever primary education? What were you excited to learn more about? When you went to a library or borrowed a book from somebody, what were those things? And those are clues as well as the things that were repressed in you. So sometimes the things that are repressed exhibit the wounded portion of our purpose. And so I have seen over, several decades now that purpose is like a two-sided coin. One side is the gift or the contribution that we are here to make. That is those curiosities and the innate passions. And then the other side is the wounding or the shadow element of purpose, which causes purpose to be hidden because it looks like, oh, I have to repress that or I don't want to deal with it. But in fact, our shadow is as nuanced as the gift side of our purpose. So when I work with people, I look at the really unique versions of both of sides of the coin.
Wonderful. I mean, that's a great piece, basically. I mean, conscious and subconscious both, basically.
Right. I mean, most of it is unconscious for many of us. I mean, even the gift side is also unconscious for many of us because we're not trained to look for those things.
And nobody has given us that formal education, isn't it? So this is not part of our formal education system anywhere in the world, whether it is America, London, or maybe India. So it is never taught. So it has never been told by anybody. So this is what we learn out of our experience, maybe.
Right.
Or with the help of a coach.
So, our educational systems were set up for a different time. I mean, they really were designed to bring us information that would allow us to enter as laborers or workers in a world to provide services to keep the big wheel running, the big economic engine running. They weren't really designed to provoke us to be our most authentic selves. And so those of us who've been in the personal development realm for any period of time realize this is way more valuable than some of the, the stuff that they pile in our brains and expect us to memorize. I do see little pockets of illumination occurring in educational systems around the world that are beginning to work with children and adolescents and college students, university students, to help them gain a grasp of who they are, who their authentic version of themselves is, which then prepares us to go out into the world and contribute what is most innate to us instead of just being forced into some box of, a career or a job that who's that serving?
No one.
No one, nobody really. I mean, it's just this feudal system we've created.
I know. So, okay, that's a great answer, Holly. So let me put up the second question. So this is more related to interiors, my favorite topic. How are interiors of your home or office related to purpose of life? I mean, what is the connection?
Yeah, so I really had to think about this. So I appreciate this question. I have focused so much on the interior and then creating an exterior world what do I do in the world? But what you're also speaking to is the way I set up my surroundings so that
Exactly.
I can inhabit it, living from the inside and feel comfortable and held in a container. And it's funny, I have always been I've nested my entire life. Like, if I've been a nomad, so I've moved 30 something times since I left my family home. Um, and I nest. Like, everywhere I go, I nest. I have to make it comfortable for me so I can be myself.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think so many people don't do that. And people are like, Holly, why do you spend that much time and effort? You're just going to move in a year or two. What are you doing? Yeah, but I got to be me. And if I
Yeah.
can't be in my own home and feel comfortable, live, dynamic, you had the woman a couple of weeks ago who spoke about energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really resonated with all of that conversation, that when we are comfortable in our home environment, the energy is dynamic and alive and nurturing to our souls. And just feel into that for a minute. When you feel held by your home environment or your office environment, you can be so much more creative and available to the work that wants to come through you. So I just honestly can't even imagine how people survive in homes or offices that don't do that. And so I don't know if you want. So I've begun exploring. So what is it I do that creates that comfort? I don't know if you want me to answer that question yet, but
I got it. I got it. So, I mean, just to clarify to people here in India, so what Holly said, guys, absolutely what Ramon said a couple of days back. So, you're talking about Ramon, Holly. So, I got Dr. Ramon on, and she said there is always a bad and a positive energy in our space. And when we do our interiors, it automatically synchronizes with our brain. So, it gives you more power. We feel more content. We feel more satisfied. We feel more self-honored, basically. And it is part of your conscious, isn't it? And that's how this purpose, this life, this journey connects back to the interiors.
so I'm going to expand on that just a little bit, because I agree with everything you just said, and I also know that it's actually bigger than that. So we are these big, massive energy structures. Everything is energy, and we live in these human energy structures. And I'm a master energy healer as well. Our energy structures are literally 20 feet or more off of our body. So the energy of the place we live actually feeds that whole structure, not just our brain, which is just a tiny organ. It's one tiny organ in the rest of us. Most of us
Yeah.
live as if our brain should guide everything. So when I imagine nurturing, comfortable, familiar environment, I'm also talking about the whole of me, the whole energetic of me. But what I also was saying is that my purpose, unknowingly, because this is new to me. I wasn't conscious actually until you asked me this question, that my purpose has been guiding me to create environments
Yeah.
that cause me to feel that. And because I'm so aligned with my purpose, pretty much everything I do these days is a reflection of that. I don't
Yeah.
even have to think about it anymore. I just do it. Like I move in that way in the world now. But I imagine early on I would create a home that, like, oh no, that feels terrible. I don't even want to be there. I'd have to rearrange it or get new furniture or new artwork. So you can see, for instance,
I know.
this painting
I can see
behind
that.
me is calm and cool and collected, but it's got a lot of nature, and it's very open, and that to me, feeds me. It's
Yeah.
just an example. In the
And gives
books
you
of
that power. It gives you that power every day, every now and then. Whenever you come back to home from your tired day of work, or maybe you go back to your office in the morning. So this interiors of your spaces will give you that power again. It gives you that energy back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that is what
yeah,
I feel.
yeah. So rather than I was looking at your website, and rather than choosing something that feels fashionable or trendy, like that's not going to serve you. Choose something that actually feeds you and feels good to your heart and soul, and nourishes you, and causes you to wake up in the morning. And I'm so happy to be in my space.
Yeah. So that's how it is. Perfect. So let me put up the next question. Is it really necessary to have a good design spaces around? I think you've somewhat answered, but just want to take a formal answer as well.
Yeah, as I've been reflecting on this question, so one of my obsessions, which I was like, I never put this together. So you asked me this question, is one of my obsessions is lamps. I love lamps. When my children say, "Mom, what do you want for your birthday?" or something, like, I want another lamp. Like, I love like really unique, very nuanced, unusual lamps, and like, it's just like I don't know why I like lamps. But when I started thinking about my purpose statement, which is, speak powerful truths, to shine love onto shadow, to liberate soul's potential, reunite love and power. It's kind of a mouthful. But when I think about lamps, they are illuminating devices, right? They shine light in their very own unique little way, depending on the shade and the location. And so I put lamps all over my living space to light up my environment in very different ways. And depending on how I feel, I turn on this lamp and turn that one off, or I put one on over here. And so part of my speaking powerful truths is to illuminate things in very unique ways that light up the shadow. And I had just never thought about that before. So knowing my purpose makes total sense that I have this fascination with lamps. So it's really important that, this clarity about purpose can inform our lives in so many ways that, like, I'm not even conscious of all the ways that it informs our life. I'm still learning, thank goodness.
Thank you. So that's called as humbleness. You're still humble. I have seen your profile, and I know, the amount of entrepreneurs you have already, trained, it's big, and people whosoever in the audience doesn't know. So Holly has trained more than 100 entrepreneurs across the world, and there are loads. And I don't know the numbers basically, but there are many. I could see so many case studies.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers either. It's been a lifetime, and I'm just having fun and helping people live their more amplified life and doing good work. So it's all good.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so another question from me, and then we'll take up some questions from the audience as well. So, how can I identify my personality, taste, and why should I have or get my office or home designed accordingly? Like, how do I identify my personality? And this is a big question I always face, Holly. And when I talk to my clients, so, this is a bigger context. I'm always looking into what kind of personality this person is, and so that I can suggest him that kind of design what he's looking at.
Yeah. So, I struggle a little bit with this question because personality is a reflection of our ego as opposed to our soul. So personality is formed in childhood through our families and our contexts and our environments. And personality, while it has important characteristics, isn't necessarily the most innate version of us. So I think I have an alternative question that, so I don't mean to, diminish the importance of your question, but I think I would say, what parts of your personality get in the way of you creating this environment at your home or office that is more comfortable and nurturing? So if some part of your personality wants to prove itself to your peers, and designs this beautiful, lavish, sort of affluent looking home, are you really comfortable there? Does that really cause you to feel inspired to do your best work, be your best self? Or is your personality really quirky and whimsical and, sort of random? And do you need to have an eclectic look, which is me? I have a very eclectic look.
I can't believe that. I can't see that. It's a very calm painting. You're showing it to me. Maybe you could not be having eclectic feel. I cannot believe it.
Well, you're just seeing one little piece of my environment, but so if I showed you the 11 lamps in 2 rooms,
we would love to have that look. At least people here in India know what Interiors Holly is doing.
So I have some very odd lamps. I'm going to share a tiny little story, if that's okay. So a few years ago, I moved into this new place. Again, I'm pretty nomadic, or have been. And I moved into a new place, and I wanted to put a hall, you know, an entryway table and a lamp. And I got the entryway table, found that no problem. But like the lamp, like what lamp am I going to put here? Because you know how important that is to me. So I went to a store and I'm looking for lamps. And I said, you know, what I'd really love to find is something that looks like a goddess. I don't know. I want people to walk in my house and say, she's a goddess. Why not? You know, I laugh at myself. Anyway, I don't know where this came from. Well, you're not going to believe it. I walked into this store. I was not there 10 seconds. And I turned around and boom, there is this goddess lamp. Like, not kidding. It just like appeared. It's Artemis, you know, the warrior who has the bow and arrow. Yeah. And like, okay, there's my lamp. Got it. Let's go. And she has been with me ever, you know, for it's probably been 5 or 6 years. And I feel like she guards my space, and not that, you know, I'm very courageous, but sometimes I feel very alone. And this lamp, this odd lamp, she's the first one I turn on every morning. Good morning, Artemis. And I'm here, and I'm so glad you're here with me. Like, okay, I'm telling you lots of quirks now. But digging really deep into what is some part of your personality that needs to be supported in some very unique way by your environment. You need lots of living spaces with comfortable, you know, places for your friends to sit because you feel nurtured when you have people over. Are you one of those people that has a need to look outside a lot? And, you know, so maybe you don't need a lot of drapes that cover your window. You need wide open windows and small treatments. Or I think it's important that we evaluate what causes us to feel really alive and really dynamic and full in our lives, and do that, not what somebody's expecting you to do or what the latest, you know, interior design magazine is showing you. Blah, blah. I could go on and on.
I mean, I can totally relate to it because sometimes I get into that feel. I mean, Holly, so I can tell you a couple of experiences with me because I've designed so many homes, maybe 200 plus till date. And I'm talking about 200 families, which is about 800 to 900 lives. So every house is 4 to 5 people in India, generally. And all of these 4 or 5 people are in a different space. Somebody is thinking in north, somebody is thinking in south, somebody is thinking in east, and somebody is thinking in west.
Right.
And to bring them together. So you have to be really there within their personality, behaviors, within their characters. How will they live their own house? I mean, what will be their morning routine? Or how will they talk to each other? Or what kind of husband-wife they are? And sometimes I get so deep, and my co-workers always say, "Sir, why are you getting so deep into it?" I say, "I don't know. It is happening naturally. I can't control it."
Yeah, that sounds amazing, Shashank. I don't know anybody that does what you do, and such a powerful contribution to that family who's got to live there all together and all those different personalities and all those ways of being in the world, and you're helping them figure out how to create something that creates coherence. I mean, that's really what you're talking about is, you know, we cohere with ourselves and with each other. So you're in our environment, you're creating coherence that allows them to function more organically and more naturally and with greater ease. So thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. I told you, it was not about me. It was about you.
No,
we'll keep a separate interview where you'll be interviewing me and I will be answering.
All right. Whatever.
Cool. So, okay, let me take another couple of questions from the audience. And, okay. So, Onkar. Hi, Onkar. Onkar has a question. Is it really necessary to relate our personality to interiors?
Is it necessary? Well, I mean, we can function without doing that. I have certainly lived in a number of places, especially when I was young and didn't have money or means to create something that felt more comfortable, or, you know, living with other people. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily look or feel like you want it to. But I would suggest that it is necessary. It's absolutely necessary to have at least one space within your home that feels like, okay, I can relax here. I can be myself. I've created this little sanctuary for me that I can wake up each day and spend some part of the day, even if it's just, a half an hour, and feel like, oh, I'm home. Like, this is where I can land and I can ground as a human being on the planet and really feel like myself. I'm true to me. And so it doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be big. It can just be you surround yourself with little things that really matter to you, and the lighting and the colors, and furniture that fits you. And, you can go into the oils and the fragrances and the lights and all of that. And, but some place in your home. And I've actually lived in places where there wasn't a single spot. I raised 4 kids. There was like, chaos. And so I created an outside space. Like, okay, this is my spot on the outside of the house. Don't touch it. Like, this is where I'm going to go create my space. And a little, I put a table and a chair and a candle, and this is where I would go read and meditate. And, the sun came up and I got to watch and hear the birds and the flowers grow. And just whatever it is we do, it is absolutely required for our physical bodies, our senses, our subtle energies to feel at home someplace each and every day. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty important.
That's such a great piece of advice, Holly. And subconsciously, I do know it, but I mean, you putting it to me, I mean, this is like concreting into my mind. Yes, you definitely need to create that personal space for that individual. So that is what it's coming to my mind, and it is just being layered up again and again. Yeah,
Yay.
that's so cool. That's so cool. So let's take another question. This is from Akash. So the question is there any rules which we need to follow every day to align our purpose and maybe life?
Is there a rule that we need to follow every day?
Yeah.
A rule. I don't tend to think in rules. So it's an interesting question. So no rules. But let me see what else is there that's not rules. So if I had a rule, I'm going to backtrack. If I had a rule, it would be yourself. Live your truth, and not what kinds of truths are imposed upon us in life about how we should be something that someone else expects of us or wants us to be or needs us to be. I mean, not that we don't have to accommodate our lives and be support systems for others in our life and share our gifts and give ourselves generously. But if we don't come home to ourselves and really serve that innate version of us, at some point during the day, like talking about being in your space, if we don't find room for ourselves and live from there, then there's almost no point being in the world. So another possible encouragement, I really don't like to think in rules, it's so black and white, but another encouragement is that making space in your life for contemplative time, whether it's meditation or prayer or gratitude practices or breath work or yoga or whatever, walking in nature, whatever causes you to be calm and open and centered and grounded and available to, the fresh energy of the universe, God, source, the divine, sacred, whatever you want to call it, being available to that which is greater than us, the quantum field. Being open and available to that causes us to constantly regenerate as ourselves, because we are always evolving. We are evolutionary beings every day, all day long. That's what we're doing. And so if we don't create that space to allow that, then really nothing else works. There's no point in the rest of it, because it's all efforting and egoic. So making space and time for that each day as best you can. 5 minutes, 2 hours. I spend 1 to 2 hours a day doing that just because I need to.
Wonderful. So, Akash, that's a great advice from Holly. So, you gotta be spending 1 to 2 hours daily on yourself, whether in a meditative mode or a yoga practice, or maybe in temple or whatever you call it. Maybe 1 to 2 hours for yourself, for your own inner self, basically.
But you don't have to start there. Actually, I didn't say that. So start wherever you are. If it's 5 or 10 minutes, that's better
Right.
than none. You know, yeah. Most people can't start with 1 or 2 hours. That's something I've worked up to over decades.
I know.
Um,
I know. So Holly, this reminds me. After so many years of practice, I was very bad at concentration earlier, and I have a very fickle mind. So every time I'm hyperactive. So I have an idea, I start implementing and move to another. Start implementing, move to another, and it took me years and years of practice thinking together, where I'm able to concentrate on one activity, complete it, and then move to the next.
Beautiful. Well, you're far ahead most of humanity. Shashank, I have to tell you. And that also speaks to, if I could just emphasize, what you're speaking about is the creative impulse that comes through us when we are aligned with our purpose. And those are great inspirations. It's nothing to be ashamed of or want to deny or repress, to have that much energy and juice coming through you. And then there is the commitment and discipline, right, to
Yeah.
follow through and implement and execute. And a lot of the people I work with are like that. There's just so much that they want to do in life. And I know that. I have the same challenge. But like, let's focus and actually bring things into the world to have an impact.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just sits in our computers or our brains and doesn't help anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it never gets executed, isn't it? We just only think about it and we keep on thinking. We keep on
Mhm.
thinking and we just do too many analysis paralysis, basically. Like, we do not execute. We just only think.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with all
It
of
is.
us.
Yeah, it is. And creating that space for the calm and open, so open, centered, grounded, receiving fresh energy from the field or source, whatever you want to call it, actually also creates more space for those energies, those creative energies to be calm. And then whatever is really meant to occur next surfaces, and you feel a little more aligned with that, and it's a little easier to execute.
Very good. Cool. So let me take another question. So this is from Puneet. It's a big question. He says, Holly, hi, this is Puneet from India. So, do the answer to the second question still holds true when it comes to people across global spending lots of time there in lockdown and bounded today in their home? I think he's referring to our question about purpose and how that is related to interiors, maybe.
Yeah, and that is such a great question, and certainly has posed a huge challenge for all of us all over the world. I actually just rearranged my home 2 weeks ago. Like, I just moved everything around because the energy had gotten so stale from being at home for 5 months. Like, I can't stand it, even though I love everything in my house. It's just gotten, it's like deadlock. It was on, I was on lockdown and it became deadlocked. So I
Yeah.
had to move all of my furniture. I actually got rid of some furniture. I cleaned out
Yeah.
some of my shelves and cabinets. Like, I had to upend everything in order to find that creative energy again. So it is challenging, and maybe the suggestion is to do something like that, to recreate your space so that you can reinvigorate it. Whether it's getting new pillows or clearing out cabinets and drawers, or getting rid of some books or moving books or new books, or um, doing energy clearing. I also do energy clearing, and that's
Okay.
really important. But I would say yes, it's especially important now, given where we are. We're very locked down again here in California. Crazy, month 6. And so having to find new and innovative, creative ways of regenerating the energy in your own environment and finding that aliveness again. So this is not the wall you would have seen a month ago with me. It was over there. So I have a new place to be.
I mean, that's such a great advice. I mean, just changing the place of the painting and maybe realigning few items in your house, you're able to change their energy.
Mhm.
That blockage, which is there due to the pandemic, and you're staying there in the same house, nothing is moving in and around, and everything is inside basically. It's such a great piece of advice. I mean, without even buying anything, you just reshuffle few things and hang on, you're there.
Yeah. And I got rid of a lot of stuff. I actually just started emptying out cabinets and shelves, and I have about 500 books over there that I still need to go through. But and people here, like all the consignment stores and the Goodwills, etc., are shut down. So I just started putting boxes of things out on the street, and like people take my stuff, like, yay, it's gone.
I know, I know. So if I have been in California, I would have been to your place and said, Holly, don't throw them. I'll take them. I'll take to my place.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is another question from Dinesh. He's my close buddy. Thank you, Dinesh, for attending this session. And he says, Hi, Holly. I have been trying to find my purpose until now. Find out I like to help people. How do we go deeper to finding our purpose? And that's great. So he wants to help people. And personally, Holly, I know Dinesh, and he's an absolutely wonderful person at
Mm.
heart. And he wants to go deep and helping people more.
Hi, Denise. Great to see you here. And it is a beautiful question, and it is it's the question of the day, right? In this ridiculous world we're living in right now, how do we all make a greater contribution? So, and the book describes some of the methods that I use, but again, if you begin to go back to your childhood and re-examine what it is that inspired you and made you curious and caused you to have an inquiry, that maybe you can follow the thread through your lifetime to figure out, what does that look like and what is an expression of that in my lifetime now. It's, finding purpose, I'd say, is not an easy task. I spent several decades looking for my own and having to learn all the modalities that I now use in order to find purpose. So I use a variety of methods that are both indirect, like doing that exercise I just talked about, but also speaking directly to your soul. So I take people into guided meditation or visualization, and we talk to your soul and your future self and really get some insight about what it is your soul wants you to do in this lifetime. But I'd say if nothing else, you might, take a look at the book, and there are some initial exercises there. The most important thing I do with people is really help pull out the story of their lives. So we're deconstructing our life and looking at what inspired us at each stage of life, what kept us from being on purpose, what shut us down or repressed us, and what was wanting to emerge on the other side of that. So we are evolving beings that have a need to more and more express ourselves the more developed we become. So purpose is right there in all of that.
That's an absolute, I mean, great answer, Holly. And I hope Dinesh got his answer. So it's never a one-day practice or a
No.
1 month practice. Basically, it takes years and years and years to do and achieve what you really want to.
Well, it took me years because I didn't have any guides. Nobody was doing what I do now when I started my quest. So I think there are now a number of people on the planet who do something similar to what I do. But when I work with people, it takes 6 months. It's like generally 6 months, we can figure out your purpose, figure out how you're meant to express it, move forward in a product and a business, and boom, there you go. It actually isn't this multi-decade thing anymore, because this is what I gave my life to. And
Yeah.
this is why I came back in this lifetime to help people do this. So, I've done the work that we needed.
We can
And it
take
worked.
the juice out from you. We can take it from
Well,
you.
I mean, I'm going to teach a course here in a couple months, so that might be a
Okay.
good opportunity for anybody here who wants.
Absolutely. You can share that to me, and I will definitely share within my network and on our channel as well, because a lot of people on our channel are associated with us through interiors and spaces and things around. So I think that will really help a lot of people here.
Mhm.
So my next question is also related to this, Holly. So we say what an entrepreneur or a business owner should do to achieve greater results in life. So I mean, it is somewhat related to what you said, but just want to take a formal answer to it.
Yeah. Um, so results is an abstract term, right? It depends on
And,
whether you're talking financial results or satisfaction, joy, meaning kinds of results. And there are many other good
uh,
relationships and culture in your business. And I mean, my answer will always be figure out who you really are, what you're trying to accomplish in your business related to your purpose. Build and or refine your products and services relative and alignment with that purpose. Find the people who most resonate with those products, and then build delivery systems and culture, and partners who are in alignment with that. So when I consult with companies and entrepreneurs and companies, I always start with purpose, and then we look at the product and see, is that really who you are and what it is that's your greatest contribution in the world, and make refinements. We do some research, market research and customer experience assessment, and then we look at the delivery systems. How is that being delivered in the world? And is it in alignment with who you are? And who are your partners and vendors? And is that in alignment? And who are your employees? And what is their purpose? So shared purpose is actually even more evolved version of finding purpose in an organization. So I've started doing that work. So there are many, many elements of becoming more result driven. So the higher the alignment with purpose, the higher your ROI. Truly, it's like a no brainer. There's not only a spiritual conceptual understanding of that, but the data about purpose and the financial returns are so powerful. We have so much data about how this works.
I mean, that's great. That's a great piece of advice for any entrepreneur, basically, to move up the ladder. So, Holly, I think we are there at the end of the part of the session. So, let me see if we have more questions. Okay, this is another from Puneet. He says, "Do lots of interior dynamics hold true?"
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure I know that
I,
question. Maybe you can.
yeah, I think what I can drive is he's trying to ask. About the interior dynamics and the feel. So, will that be true to our life, to our conscious, to our purpose?
I'm still not understanding the
So
question. Maybe you.
basically, in interiors, we talk about colors, we talk about schemes, we talk about themes. And so, is this really related to your life, to your purpose, to your, inner consciousness? That's what
Got it.
he's trying to.
It absolutely. It's funny. Yesterday, because my website got hacked, and I refused to rebuild an old website that was, old anyway, and I need to build a new one. I'm creating a new website, and yesterday I was looking at colors for my website, and like, oh my gosh, like, how do I begin? So I just really sat with these colors and what felt right to me. I've actually got some Pantone colors over here on this screen that I'm just sort of sitting with, trying to figure out. So every part of your life and business is related to who you are and your purpose and what it is you're here to do. And colors of a website, of your interiors in your office, in your home, are how you are represented in the world. So yeah, it's really important and holds true in alignment with purpose.
This is such a great advice. Absolutely, the colors are very important, and in interiors. So what I generally say, Holly, to people, to clients who come to us, say colors are very important, and it is important as per your personality. So if you are a calmer person, I will say go with calmer colors. If you are dynamic, if you're young, if you're high energetic, go with eclectic. So you're making a home not maybe for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. You're doing it for next 10 years. And after 10 years, your life will be changed. So every year we change ourselves, right? So I always say, whoever you are today, make your
Hmm.
home that way today.
Yes, I would agree with that completely. Yeah, that's been my experience as well.
Wonderful. So, what piece of advice do you like to give us to our audience, and how can they reach out to you, or
Mm,
maybe what are your courses, or how can we join you or your groups? What do
great,
you do?
thank you. So I think the most important message I would share um, is that we each came to the planet, this is my belief anyway, in order to live this life that is designed, it's almost designed within us. It's not a predestined thing, but it's our soul is calling us to live this life in however it navigates, the complexity. It's not like we have a destiny and that's the only place we can arrive, but our soul is calling us to express itself, to be
Yeah,
our true self, our authentic version of ourself. And there is always another expression. So even if you've reached a place in life that feels great, I've accomplished, I feel on purpose and aligned and everything's going great, just wait, there will be another expression. At some point that will like start feeling not so great and sticky and like I'm stuck. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that you've evolved and there's another version of you that wants to emerge. And it looks different over each stage of life. So just know that we each have this role and responsibility that looks like joy and meaning and abundance when we live it. So it's both I need to do this for the world and I need to do it for myself. And I mean, what greater win-win could we possibly be than being ourselves?
yeah.
So to find me, again, my book is The Golden Thread, where to find.
Golden thread. So, Holly, would you be able to give me that link? I can
I
share that in
can,
the comment box.
the link I have is to the Amazon in US.
Okay,
But I will give you the link. But it is on Amazon. It's also in Barnes and Noble. So
okay,
wherever you are in the world, you may have to look for a different Amazon. But it's The Golden Thread: Where to Find Purpose in Stages of Your Life. I
okay,
also have a free introduction to the book if you want, just to get a sense of what the book's like. And I can give you that link also, Shashank. If you go to my
yeah,
website, current
okay,
website, the old one that's been hacked, there is a homepage. And
okay,
there is a download called the Purpose to Impact Roadmap we spoke about earlier. And
okay,
that is there for your, if you just put in your name, it comes to you by email. And that is the roadmap that is my tested model of how I work with people. It gives you some sense of the steps that are needed to move, into your purpose journey and build your life. I will be offering a course in the
okay.
fall. I don't have a link. I don't even have a name for it yet. And in fact, if you sign up on my list and get the intro or download the Purpose Road Impact, you'll also have access to a free mini course masterclass I'm going to offer in the next month. It'll be 5 days of free content
Wow.
that helps you think about this stuff and get closer to purpose. So be sure to somehow download something somewhere. or
I'll,
send
I'll,
me
I'll put those links everywhere, and I'll make sure at least I'll get you
that.
20 people.
All right. So, because I want to make sure anybody that wants to be a part of this free content can get it.
Yeah, I know.
Because,
And it's
one,
such a valuable content because I know, Holly, when we were discussing our call other day, and it was so much value I was getting, and I was thinking, how will I be able to implement all of these? So much value.
well, you don't have to do it at once. I've been doing this over a lifetime.
I
So
know.
wherever you are, whenever you have time, take whatever tidbit is useful to you. I work with people who are actually, really ready. They have a deep longing, like, I got to do this now. And I got to be my most purposeful side. You're doing so much already, Shashank. It's not like you're behind by any stretch. Um,
I know.
it's all
I mean, I'm
perfect.
just trying my bit. I'm just trying my bit, and every time I get a beating from my younger brother, so he is a co-founder in my company, and every time I come up with an idea, and he says, Holly, what are you doing, man? How many things you're gonna be implementing in this lifetime?
Lots.
Lot.
It's kind of like me. Like there's never end. I'm in my 23rd career. So for some of us it really is an evolutionary journey, and that's not everybody.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't encourage anybody to follow in my footsteps. But it's been my journey, and it's been a fun one, and I've learned so much each step of the way about how to follow it's like following breadcrumbs, really, to live into the next expression of you.
So, guys, this is a great piece. It's a 23rd career, Holly, and she's, I think, very successful. And 23rd career, and we often feel after one or two or three, we are tired. We can't do anything more. And we should take an example from Holly, and she's 20 with 30 years of experience.
Don't say my age.
I'm not gonna tell you the real age.
Very, very young. Very young.
Very young. I said 20.
I'm
20 with 30 years of experience. Yeah.
I'm youth for sure. In fact, if there was any great lesson to take from all of this, is that I am not, young in the traditional sense, but since I have really become aligned with my purpose, and my whole life is from living, I'm living my life from that place, I have become so much more young and vibrant and alive and filled with fun and joy, that I don't feel like I'm aging anymore. Like it's like, nah, I'm gonna be here for a while.
You don't look like that. You're beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I think we are done for the show. So, Holly, any last comments you want to share?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Fun.
much.
This was great.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you so much.
You're
Take care, guys. Have a good night. Good morning. Bye.